Welcome to another OMLab tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about resonant peaks or spikes and how to, number one, find them, how to isolate them, and how to remove them properly so they aren't necessarily such a potential hazard, I guess, in your music production. You get a resonant spike in there somewhere where you don't want it, and you end up with the potential of having really shrill, nasty sounds if someone cranks up the volume on something, or perhaps even when you're processing your sounds yourself. So let's go ahead and find a rather generic sound here. Since we're targeting electronic music here, we'll just find some sort of anthemic sound, something that could be used in maybe a broad range of music from house to trance. That's a pretty trancey generic electronic sound. So we're going to go ahead and load that up. One of the bonuses of using a pre-made loop like this sound is that if you happen to have Logic Pro, you use the same exact sound. We're just going to loop this 4-bar loop, leave it going. This is a precision process, which means you're going to approach this rather surgically. And the very first thing you need to keep in mind when going through this process yourself is you don't want to wreck your ears. So go ahead and crank up the bandwidth all the way. And you'll see that when we adjust that, the range of frequencies that we will be affecting gets a lot smaller as the number goes up. This is exactly what we want. We want as precise decisions and applications as possible. So we'll start here at the low end. We're only going to identify a few of these, so we don't spend all day on this, but I want you to get the entire idea. So I'm going to find our first sound. It's starting to ring around in there that I really don't like that. So we're going to remove that, but not a whole lot. I'm just going to dip it down a bit. And on to the next one. Remember, increase your bandwidth, and we're going to sweep for something that's a little bit more noticeable this time. Okay, once you get up into this mid-range in here, there's all sorts of stuff happening, and it's a matter of doing this again and again and again until you feel comfortable knowing the difference between enriched harmonics versus something that's truly resonant and nasty. So, and don't forget that resonance adds to the character and interest of sound in general, so you don't want to eliminate all of it, just enough of it. So let's start up this sound again, and we'll find our next spot. Crank up the volume, and sweep. Okay, that was pretty harsh. We're going to go ahead and take that down. Maybe even a little bit more than the other one was. And let's go ahead and do this one more time. We're going to find one more sound. And keep in mind that if you're doing the A/B comparison right now, trying to hear a difference, a big difference between the synth before and after we take out these resonant peaks, you're really not going to hear it. If you do hear a major difference, then we've probably done this wrong. We want this to be as minimally invasive to the overall sound as possible. Okay, so let's find one more. Let's back this up to where we left off and start this. Okay, that's another pretty harsh one. We're just going to take that down a little bit more in line with the first one. Let's play back our sound. Toggle off these changes. Okay, so you really should not be able to hear a big difference at all. It's not a noticeable difference right now. So I think we're safe to bring these down just a little bit more, give us a little bit more of a cushion. Okay, now we are at a point where you can hear a difference. If you're not listening with headphones or decent headphones, you might want to toss them on at this point, replay that last segment, just so you can kind of hear that there is a slight audible difference here. So What we're going to do is open up another EQ. I tend to use a lot of EQs. It allows for a lot more precision. We're just going to make sure that we have the sound shaped in a way that we like for our imaginary production here. So we're going to just touch on a couple of things. Should we roll up our low end? Don't need that. Can't hear it. There's a slight thickness that gets added right here. That's nice. All right, let's find there's a couple more things. We should probably take a little bit out of this mid-range where those resonant peaks were to begin with. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're being proactive. Each one of these things that we're doing is being proactive. This takes out these peaks so we can actually increase our overall gain in the lesser heard elements. And this is usually accomplished through compression. So let's go ahead and take that as our next step in this process. And it's going to be very minimal. It's like the rest of our processing here that we're doing in this, just to get the point across here. Enough of this sound through. Oops. We won't compress it too much. We don't want to crush it. Just want to wrangle it in a bit. Make sure that your auto gain and auto release is turned off, so you actually have control over what happens with this sound. And this throttles it, this -20. Let's go ahead and bring this up a bit. You can hear just a huge difference in the dynamics here. Okay, and that's fine. And we want to add back what we're taking away here, so. Okay, so we'll call it 4.5, give ourselves a slight cushion there. Now, let's listen to the sound, like the A-B comparison really quick. So there is a definite punch. There's a difference in both the presence and the aggressiveness in the sound. And that's a good thing. What we really need to do, though, is show off the fact that things like frequency sweeps benefit from this process of subtractive before additive. And this is, again, kind of the point of sweeping for resonance to begin with. So let's disclose the advanced features of the compressor here in Logic. You just click this little disclosure triangle. There's this nice sidechain filter option that we can turn on. Switching it to listen will allow us to preview. And we're just going to go ahead and automate a little change here. So we're going to go into compressor, and then it's going to be under the sidechain filter. We'll select frequency. And what we're going to do is add a sweep. Have it rise all the way up in the end. We'll have it start around the middle, and we'll have this dip down right around here to give us a fairly generic, somewhat expected kind of synth build here. Okay, that was pretty darn close to perfect here. We'll just bring this up so it doesn't bottom out too much. Try that again. You can see our parameter is changing here. Okay, see, that's pretty nice. Pretty nice sound. We'll go ahead and we'll just extend this a little bit so you can kind of hear the resolve. Now, it's nice and smooth. There are no resonance issues whatsoever. Again, you can choose to do these things after you discover the problems, but I guarantee it's going to be a lot tougher. You sweep your sounds for resonant peaks in the very beginning. Each and every time, you're going to end up with incredibly, incredibly clean sounds that are easy to process and easy to work with in regards to finding and creating space for each sound in your mix. It's the whole point of this thing. Keep your sounds clean, sweep for resonant peaks. Tune in again soon. We'll be back.